Knightline is brought to you by the Dever Team, your source for New Smyrna Beach real estate and everything else New Smyrna Beach. Go to www.thedeverteam.com and call UCF alumni Travis Dever for all your New Smyrna Beach needs. 386-690-1636. That's 386-690-1636.
Welcome to UCF Knightline, your source for UCF sports and former player information.
Hello, Night Nation. This is Andrew Phegley coming to you from the 1148 studios. This is Knightline 168 from the award-winning Knightline Sports Network. Joining me, as always,
Trace Trylko. Hello, everyone. We're talking hoops. We hear from UCF men's basketball head coach Johnny Dawkins. One-on-ones with senior guard B.J. Taylor, senior forward Chad Brown, and senior center Taco Fall. And we welcome Knightline's new basketball insider, a guy who stood tall on the court when he wore the black and gold. But first...
All right, basketball is back, and the Knights are healthy going into the 2018-19 season. Could this be the year that UCF goes dancing through March Madness? UCF received 15 votes in the preseason AP poll, good enough for 35th overall, plus the Knights are the Americans' preseason pick to win the league, picking up 6 of 11 possible first-place votes. The 2018-19 season marks the 50th season of UCF men's basketball. Wow.
I didn't even realize that until I picked up the media guide, and they have a special logo for it.
Wow, that's a cool
seasons.
logo, actually, too.
Yeah, it features a sword and the basketball and the big number 50, and you'll see it, I'm sure, a lot during the upcoming
50
season.
50 seasons.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago that UCF as a university turned 50, so you just don't think of basketball having been around that long.
I would have never thought. How many seasons of football do we have?
Well, 1979, so whatever that math is.
So next year would be some...
40th.
Wow.
Yeah.
40 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
How about that?
I think about these, more aged universities and how they have like 200 years, or not 200 years, but close. I'm sure.
Quite a bit more than UCF. Athletic director Danny White, who's been in the news a lot lately for his commentary regarding the College Football Playoff Invitational.
I love Danny White.
He's been talking a lot about making UCF a top 25 athletic program in the country. And you see in the fall that volleyball is ranked, women's soccer ranked, men's soccer ranked, top 25, and, of course, the football team. Be nice to see basketball creep into that top 25, and they have a chance.
He said that was his goal from the beginning, to make every program at UCF a top 25 program, and he's come very close so far. I mean, he's bringing them up. I love it. I mean, the guy is an absolute genius, marketing genius, and I don't know what else he's doing, but he's doing whatever it is that he needs to do, and we need to hold on to that guy. I'm just so worried that one day here, soon, Danny's going to Notre Dame or Duke or some crap like that. Hopefully that doesn't happen.
No time soon. No time soon.
I hope not.
On Knightline 167, we featured soundbite from head coach Johnny Dawkins, in which he commented on, can the team stay healthy? They're very well aware that they were stacked a year ago. I mean, this was B.J. Taylor and Taco Fall and Aubrey Dawkins a year ago, and we're singing that same tune. If this team can stay healthy, watch out. They could be a force in not only the American, but going into the NCAA tournament.
It's true. It's true.
But the big question is, can they stay healthy? We mentioned Aubrey Dawkins there. We featured him one-on-one in Knightline 167. And, boy, there's a guy I'm really looking forward to see play. A guy like him might sit out a year on a transfer, but how often does that same guy who sits out after a year transfer also get injured? Yeah. I mean, this guy's got to be just, antsy to finally...
He's probably got 2 or 3 degrees by now. with all the college that he's been through.
Well, you mentioned the preseason pick. They are the favorites in the American, 6 of 11 first-place votes. The American's going to be stacked, though, week in and week out. If it's not Cincinnati, Memphis now in Penny Hardaway, Houston's in there, Wichita State. I mean, these are good games every night. They really are.
It's impressive that the voters think that the Knights are going to do that. So, I mean, that's cool that I know a lot of these teams are kind of on their down years of rebuilding or whatever, but that's a perfect chance for UCF.
It was a good media session with Coach Dawkins again on Media Day, and he talked about what it means for UCF to be picked to win the American.
Being picked in this position, I think it's an honor because, it's picked by, the coaches and what their thoughts are with regards to where teams will finish. But, my players and I understand, having been through this a number of times, it's not where you start, it's where you finish. And we have a lot of work to do. We're excited about the season, of course, and we just look at it as an honor that people thought that highly of us. But you could have chosen, 7, 8 schools in our conference. It's that competitive.
What was interesting is Coach Dawkins referenced being the hunters and not the hunted. Where have we heard that before? It's something Coach Heupel talked about before the season began.
Maybe Heupel's rubbing off on Coach Dawkins a little bit, or vice versa. You never know. The next one that we have here is asking Coach about Aubrey finally playing.
As a coach, my message was the same as his father in that situation. I knew he was devastated. I mean, you're talking about you having to sit out a year because it's mandatory that you have to sit out, which is a interesting rule in itself. Then you combine that with now you get injured the next year, so now you have to sit out 2 seasons in a row. That's difficult for any young person to have to swallow, and it was difficult for him. And I just talked to him about life. In general is, you never know what life's going to throw you. And you just need to be prepared. You're going to face adversity. We all do in life and in our sport, and it's how you handle that determines who you are and what type of man you are. And so, he understood things happen, and you have to move forward. And so I think he's really adjusted well. He's still, getting some of the rust off because when you sit that long and don't play, there's going to be some rust that you have to work yourself through. But he's in the process of doing that. And, I think he's getting better every time he goes to practice. Every time we play, I can see improvements in him. And that's a message I gave him as a coach. And I would give it to any of our players, and the same message I gave to him as my son.
And that's got to be a challenge, by the way, father and son, and then you play for your dad.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a little bit unusual.
I think
right?
it happens a lot in sports. I mean, you hear football players talk about how their dad was the coach, or that sometimes even their mom was the coach. So I think it would be difficult. I think it would be difficult as the coach to not show favoritism to your kid. And especially if your kid wasn't any good. That would be really weird. But
in this instance, Coach Dawkins does not have that challenge.
Well, I understand that. But you know what I'm saying. If your kid wasn't the star player on the team, it would be difficult as the coach, to not show favoritism or to be, I guess it would be even harder not to be even harder on your kid because he's your kid. You know what I'm saying? You know how the helicopter parents are anyway. So,
and when you look at those two perspectives, right, obviously Coach Dawkins does not want to see his son sit out for those 2 seasons, just as his son. But from a competitive standpoint, boy, it left UCF disarmed a great deal, especially losing BJ and Taco. It would have been nice to have Aubrey. And again, I go back to, we haven't seen these 3 guys play together.
That was a heck of a
exciting
pun there, by the way, because didn't he have a shoulder injury? You said disarmed.
Oh, ooh. Yeah, didn't catch that.
That was funny. That's what I'm saying.
Didn't catch that.
All right.
Pun intended.
Exactly.
People always say, I didn't intend it. Yeah.
That time it was. All right. This one right here is asking Coach Dawkins about why B.J. Taylor is so hard to guard.
One, he's such a fierce competitor, and he's such a physical guard. I think that's a rare combination of that type of competitiveness combined with a certain level of physical play that he possesses at the guard spot. Because as you know, he's only 6 feet, but he plays like he's 6'10", with how physical he can be. And so I think those are the things that he has, and also his determination. I mean, he's a young man that really imposes his will on the game. It's something he's done ever since I've been here.
All right, well, you ask that to Coach Dawkins, and you ask it to B.J. Taylor as well, one-on-one with him. Let's hear that.
What makes you so hard to guard? I think that I have a multitude of moves and things that I can bring to the table on the court. A lot of other teams describe me as a 3-level scorer, so I can score inside, outside, mid-range, and threes. I think that's a big part of it. And I just watch a lot of film with my coaches and watch a lot of film with really good players and try to see what makes them so hard to guard, and I try to figure out how they, take advantage of the defense, and I just try to do those same things on the court. Plus, I think I'm a very competitive guy. I hate to lose, so I really enjoy the challenge of, figuring out how I can beat you.
Aubrey Dawkins is a competitive guy. He's gone through an ordeal. You know what it's like to have to rehab.
Yeah.
He's rehabbed, but he's been out 2 years. Talk about how important it is to have him back in the mix with you guys.
Huge. It's huge for us to have Aubrey out there. First off, I think his personality is great for our team because as competitive as he is, he's very selfless. He's not a selfish guy, but at the same time, very talented, very athletic, high jumper. And I think he's just great for our team. Having a guy who, literally grew up in Coach's household and knows what he's thinking a lot of times is just huge for our team to help us, even better understand what Coach is thinking sometimes.
How good can this team be?
I mean, this team, preseason predictions, like Coach always says, don't really mean a lot. So I think that the thing for our team is, we got to just get better every day, man. I'm not going to say, this team could be this, this team could be that. We have high standards for our group. We want our team to be, up there at the end, like every team in the country. So I think for us, we just have to focus on the process every day and not get too caught up in the long-term goal. The long-term goal will come as a result of what we do every day. As long as we take care of business, every day, every week, every month, get better every day, moving towards March, we'll be able to look back at the end of the season and, see where we stand.
If there's good out of injuries from last season, it's that a lot of guys got a lot of minutes.
Yeah.
Talk about the depth of this team.
No, everybody got a bunch of minutes last year that played. I don't think there was a guy who suited up who didn't get a lot of experience. From Rokas, Ovidas, to Chance Spadden, to Bayami. Everybody that suited up played a lot of minutes, played big minutes. So I think the experience of our group is definitely something that should pay off because there'll be nobody that's stepping on the court this year that has never played in a college basketball game besides the freshmen. College Smith played at GW, played a lot there. So everybody who's on our team has played college basketball, been in moments, had good experience, had bad experiences. So everybody should know how to deal with successes, failures, all those type of things because you've been through it before. So we got the experience on the group. Now it's just about going out there and fine-tuning it and, moving towards March.
You make coaches nervous diving for a ball, but at the end of the day, you got to let BJ be BJ, right?
Right, yeah. I mean, I think it's about being smart. Picking my spots is what Coach always says. You don't want to be too crazy out there. Pick your spots, be your moments. But like you said, I'm competitive. I'm passionate about the game. I love being out there, competing out there with the team. So like you said, I have to pick my spots better, but at the end of the day, I'm going to go hard. I'm going to compete at a high level, and I'm going to be myself.
BJ is the Americans' preseason player of the year. He keeps moving up the list in UCF's record book, too. Last season, he became just the 19th member of UCF's 1,000-point club. He has 1,092 in 3 seasons. He's the third fastest to 1,000 points in UCF's Division I era. It's fun to watch him night in and night out.
Can't wait to see it. Hey, have you checked out our new website?
I have.
What do you think?
I like it. It's sleek. We're getting a lot of good feedback.
Yeah. The guys and gals at Tasty Gravy is the company, and you'll hear a lot more about them. I don't have their ad done yet, but you will be hearing all about Tasty Gravy. They did an incredible job on our website. It is NightlineSports.com instead of UCFNightlinePodcast.com. But if you go to the old one, there's a link to the new one. I just did that the other night. So please go check it out. You can order T-shirts there. T-shirts, by the way, are at a reduced price for now at least, $15 instead of $20. So pick them up while they last. They're going quick. People are buying them.
I like the guy who was very excited about being the first one to purchase.
Well, technically, off the website, yeah, because there were other people that bought them ahead of time. There are shirts that are out there. But the options are small, medium, large, extra large, and you can either get our logo in white or gold, and then there's another shirt there, if you haven't seen that one, that says GKCO with our Knight head logo in the middle of it. So Go Knights, Charge On, with our little logo in the front of it, in the middle of it. So that's kind of cool, too. You can get that in gold as well. So please go check that out. Plus, there's all kinds of other stuff. There's news. All the schedules are on there. All kinds of stuff.
You know what else is on there?
What?
Archives. So you saw what I teased on Twitter the other day, or maybe you didn't. Go back in the archives. I challenged everyone and listen to Knightline episode number 1.
Yeah. Well, it's whatever. I hope you don't do that, but...
Oh, it's
they're all on
good.
there.
Wouldn't you think you'd be better
I think
after all this time?
Are they all on there?
168 of these? Yeah.
Okay, good, yeah.
Episode 21 was great.
That was your first one? Yeah. 20 was really bad then, because I was like, I'm here by myself. Oh, no, that was the one with Night.
No, you did it with Night Fan Stan.
It was the one before that I was like, I basically just fired the other guy that was doing the show with me, and I don't know what to say. It's like 30 minutes long. It was horrible. horrible.
Well, we talked about this when I joined. I listened to all of those episodes. I saw those posts.
And you felt sorry for me.
No, I was like, what? The reason why you started Knightline is that you felt like there needed to be more conversation. And I felt, all right, I've got to support the guy who's doing this because this needs to be out there.
And behold, you got sucked in big time, sucker. You're a huge sucker.
Well, not only is it this is 168, but you've got everything in there. You've got the post-game lives. You've got the Knightline Nows. There are more than 330 different episodes of Knightline.
I can tell you here, I think we went through this the other week, but I got to pull up this other program to get this information. There are...
What's interesting is when you look through all of the guests.
As of this week, this episode will be 327. So there's 327 things that we have done there. That's a lot.
Binge listen.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because that player on the new NightlineSports.com actually tells you how many hours it is as well. It's a lot of hours. Now I'm going to have to pull that up, too.
Well, now I'm curious about that one.
Yeah. Talk about something real quick.
Well, you can hear from a young Tyler Hudanik. You can hear from a young Mackenzie Milton. All sorts of people. If you're really not appreciating this record-winning streak, 20 straight wins for the football team, relive the 2015 season on the Knightline guys.
Oh, yeah.
When that was therapy for us, week in and week out.
I actually, if I was to listen to any of the older episodes, I would probably want to listen to those.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, a glutton for punishment right
just
there.
Just because it was horrible to do. And I would like to hear, I don't really remember how I tried to block this all out.
I listened to them at the time, I think. But I've
not
listened to
here
them
it is.
since.
So this has 328 on it for some reason. I don't know. There might be something extra in here that's not supposed to be. I'm not sure. 225 hours and 53 minutes.
All right. Maybe it'd be hard to binge.
So, well, I did the math on this the other day. It would be like 9 days of continuous Knightline. And you know how we were talking about at some point doing a 24-hour Knightline station? Like a little radio thing where it just plays. There's
enough content.
There's enough now because I was waiting, and there's 9 days worth of stuff.
How would this work? This 24-hour program channel. I mean,
it would just go back to back. It would just continue from start to finish
on YouTube or on what?
Oh, I don't know. There's internet radio stations.
Oh, I like this idea.
Yeah, that you just you would randomly turn it on. Hey, I'm going to listen to Knightline on my drive home. And it would be Knightline from 1965. No, maybe not back that far, but it would be, you never know. You could turn it on and it'd be episode number 1 or 50. Or
XM Radio plays Casey Kasem's weekly top 40 on the.
Well, were you ever an Art Bell fan?
I know who he is. Yeah.
And I think I've told you this before. I've said this on
Currently
here. I know
dead.
I have. When he died, that was a big deal for me. I'm a huge. In fact, I wouldn't be doing this right now if it wasn't for Art Bell. I promise you. There's no way.
You believe in Bigfoot? UFOs? He talked a lot about that stuff.
Well, that's not all
it
he
was
talked
good
about,
late
though.
at night,
He
though.
talked about all kinds of stuff,
I remember
not just
listening to him
those
driving.
two topics. But I don't know about Bigfoot, but I've seen some weird stuff in the sky, I can tell you that. And we can talk about this off air sometime. But anyway, there's a radio station that just plays his old stuff continuously. There's a couple of them actually on. If you go, I think one's called The Best of Art Bell or something like that on TuneIn Radio. So
not dated, right? He talked in more general terms in his shows.
Yeah, but I mean, it says at the beginning of his show, he always gave the date at the beginning of his show, so you'll know what you're listening to. Or sometimes they come on and say, hey, this was from 1991. It's fun to listen, though, because he had so many people that said they were from the future. And no, seriously, he had people on there all the time. He goes, okay, here, I'm going to save this phone line. The West of the Rockies line is for time travelers only. And these people would call in and say they were time travelers. It's fun to listen now, though, to stuff that was supposed to happen in the 90s and, in the early 2000s. No, none of it ever happened, so it's all crap.
The world didn't end.
All these people predicted all these things. That he had a prediction show at the end of every year. So what's going to happen in the year 2000? And all these people would predict all these things. Nothing ever happened.
He did it out of his home, right? He did it out of a home studio.
He did for a while. Yeah, he's from out there by Las Vegas, Pahrump, Nevada. Actually, is where he lived, and he built this whole thing. That was the #1 radio show. It was called Coast to Coast at one point. It had a couple. It was the Art Bell show, and then it was Coast to Coast AM, and it was the most widely listened to AM radio show ever. Period. I mean, the incarnation of it now probably still is. It's still going without him. It got really weird. He quit radio numerous times. At one point, he moved to the Philippines, and just crazy stuff. The year before he died, he just had a baby. His wife had a baby. He didn't have the baby because, that would really be supernatural.
Him of the future might have.
Well, there you go. That's true, too. Hopefully he'll come back and talk to us. But anyway.
He might be the only one listening now.
The guy's voice, though, the guy's voice was incredible, and it made me want to do some kind of talk radio. I would have never listened to talk radio if it wasn't him.
Wonder how many people he inspired to get into the biz.
I'm sure a lot. Yeah, so it's soothing for me to listen to his voice now. Like, I'll turn it on, like if I'm going to sleep or something, and yeah, it's a soothing. He has just a great voice. So
I like the idea of this streaming.
But you can listen to my voice for 24 hours a day,
and it all begins with episode 1 at KnightlineSports.com.
Oh boy, that was bad.
All right, he stands more than 7 feet tall, but he's not Taco Fall. He's the newest member of the Knightline Sports family. We're talking to him when this special basketball preview, Knightline number 168, continues in just a moment.
Hey, this is Travis Dever, Kai's Real Estate, the Dever team, New Smyrna Beach. Your source for real estate and everything else New Smyrna Beach. Proud sponsor of Knightline and Knightline Postgame Live. Call me anytime at 386-690-1636. That's 386-690-1636. Let me show you my hometown, New Smyrna Beach, UCF's favorite beach. Go Knights and charge on.
This season, we're happy to bring on board a longtime fan of Knightline. You may know him from Twitter by the handle @BigSocial32, and he more than lives up to the word big. Ben Stout played for the Knights under head coach Kirk Spira, and now he is on the Knightline hotline. Ben, welcome to Knightline.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, from your bio, it lists you back in your UCF days, 7'1", 180 pounds. By contrast, Taco Fall is listed at 7'6", 310. It's been a few years since you've played. How do those numbers look today?
How does the weight look? I've been able to gain a little bit of a pound since my playing days when I couldn't gain a pound no matter how much I ate. But yeah, I'm about a fighting weight of about 225, 230 today.
All right, you could knock around with Taco out on the court a little bit, huh?
I highly doubt that. He's in a little bit better shape than I am, a little bit better playing shape than I am. But but absolutely.
Take us back to your basketball days. What led you to UCF?
Well, I was a local kid. I grew up in the Winter Springs area, then went to middle school and high school in Dr. Phillips, graduated from Dr. Phillips High School. So UCF has always been a little bit near and dear to my heart. My aunt and uncle graduated from UCF back when it was FTU in the early days. And so they were certainly on my radar, and luckily I was a little bit on their radar as well. So, playing at Dr. Phillips, we had a pretty good team my senior year, and I was able to get some looks from coach and wound up working out in the best way, playing for my hometown team.
Take us back to that season, 2003-04. Talk a little bit about Kirk Spearraw and just your memories of the season.
That was quite a magical season. My freshman year, the year before that, we had a great team. We wound up winning 21 games, but everything came together when you had guys like Josh Bodden and Dexter Lyons as seniors. We not only had great senior leadership, but we had incredible team chemistry. We all liked to hang out with each other on the court. We, generally had a brotherhood for each other. And then we not only had some great senior leadership, but we had a point guard in Gary Johnson that was the floor general. He was the guy on the court that just kind of brought it all together with the talent that we had. So it was a special team to be a part of, that's for sure.
All right, I'm going to go back a little bit. I tried to ask this question earlier, but Trace wouldn't let me. So, so what have you been doing since your days at UCF?
So, yeah, when I graduated UCF in 2007, and I immediately got a job with our local pro team, Orlando Magic. I was in sales for the Orlando Magic for about 3.5 years during the absolute glory days of recent past. Got to go to the NBA Finals when I worked for them. We opened up the Amway Center when I worked for them. So it was really a special time to be a part of the team. But eventually, as some more opportunities came about, and actually a different career path going from sales to more of a marketing tilt, which is where I got my degree in. I got an opportunity to join a ceiling fan company in a sales role to start out, but I worked my way into the corporate office that actually brought me up to Memphis, Tennessee for about 5.5 years. And I was in product. I had my career since then in product marketing. So I'm a product manager, product development, just analyzing markets and seeing where we can fit in new products that'll make a splash and market our products in the right way. And so I was with a ceiling fan company in Memphis, and got a new opportunity with a shade fabric development company that is one of the leading manufacturers of shade fabric, which you may be most familiar with outdoor roller shades and shade sales. And so I'm a global product manager in charge of a few categories for them. So it brought me and my family back to Orlando back in January. And so we're super excited to be back and being able to see some UCF games. One of the first things we did was get our UCF football season tickets when we came back. And we're looking forward to the rest of that great season and the basketball season coming up here.
All right. Well, I'm a little bit upset you don't work for the ceiling fan people anymore. I need a new ceiling fan in the 1148 studios here. But we could also use some blackout shades on this window that I have over here. So,
well, I still got some connections in both worlds there, Andrew. So I'm sure I could help you out.
All right. Well, we'll have to talk about that when we get done talking about basketball. But
for sure.
What's changed since the time you were at UCF, especially with basketball? It's come a long ways, I think. Being mentioned, getting votes in the top 25, even though they haven't played a game yet this year. But if everybody stays healthy, I think that's what we keep saying every year. If everybody stays healthy, we're going to get there. We're going to get to the tournament, all that. What's your take on just where it's come from when you were there?
It's really been incredible, even since I played, which was a good amount of time ago. It seems like yesterday some days, but that year that Trace and yourself mentioned, 03-04 was a year that we went on a win streak of 14 games in a row, where we won 14 games in a row. And, we had the student fan section there, the Kirk's Jerks, that were awesome. And we really didn't start filling up the arena until probably about the last 5 or 6 games of that win streak. So it took a lot back in those days, sometimes to get the fan base behind us. And not only to see where we've come from that team, which was a good team, and we've had our ups and downs since, but the facilities, I mean, back in it's called what is it called now? The venue now, that's where we used to play our games. And we used to practice in the education gym when we had to. But just to see their facilities they have now, the new arena, the practice facility, the locker rooms, it's just been incredibly built up since I even went to school there, and it's exciting to see where the program has come and where it's on the trajectory to go under Johnny Dawkins and Danny White overall.
You'd mentioned Memphis earlier. That seems certainly like a college basketball town. How do you compare the two? Orlando still emerging, rallying around UCF, but maybe not where Memphis is in terms of its fan base.
Yes, absolutely. When you live in Memphis, about 95% of the people that you talk to are Memphis Tiger fans. So it's when it comes to football, they are getting more and more behind their team. But the Memphis basketball team, absolutely, that is a Tiger town when it comes to the support and the passion that they have for the basketball team. I used to actually kind of, think it was almost comical, but I appreciated it in a way because, the way they treated Pastner and the way they treated Tubby Smith, just if he lost a game, it was like the end, their world was crumbling down on them. The expectations were extremely high. And I understand why it was, because of the history that they've had. But it was the passion that they have as a fan base, especially for the basketball team, is exciting for them. And it's something that I think we're building at UCF more and more every year with our success. But, UCF's always been a little bit more of a football school, and that's gaining its notoriety. But I think ever since Danny White was hired as our AD, I always say he's the best AD in the country. He started putting the right pieces in place to build up all programs, and you're really seeing it now, not only from the success that we're having on the court or on the field, but the fan engagement and how everybody's excited about all the seasons that we're playing.
Let's talk about these 2018-19 Knights. If you were to go back a season, as synonymous as Nitro is with the UCF logo, the basketball logo probably could be well known with a red cross next to it. So many injured players, yet they persevere 9-9 in the American, 19-13 overall, and as Andrew mentioned, receiving votes and consideration. Could this be the year that they make a deep March Madness run?
I know it sounds cliche to say it because we've heard it from so many different people in this kind of preseason time, but I legitimately feel if this team can stay healthy, if they can manage to stay healthy on the court and keep their key players in, I absolutely feel that they can, not only win the conference championship, but have a chance at that second weekend of the NCAA tournament. They are that type of team. They've got all of the kind of details that when the March Madness rolls around, you hear a lot about experience. You hear a lot about how the team plays together. You hear a lot about a strong defensive front, and the ability to shoot the basketball, a strong point guard, and when you kind of go down all of those kind of boxes that all analysts talk about when it comes to tournament teams that can make a deep run. I mean, you can't help but look at UCF, and they check all of those boxes. That's for sure.
The biggest loss that we have, I think, would be A.J. Davis graduating and moving on. Who's going to step up and replace a guy like that?
It'll be real interesting to see, for me, what Coach Dawkins does with the power forward spot, because we have a guy in Chad Brown who is capable of being a starter. He has got the talent, the drive. He plays. He's a great teammate. But the thing about Chad Brown that I love is he is the perfect backup center to Taco. When Taco takes a breather, he comes in that second lineup and really injects life into the team and keeps them going because he's such a good hustle player. And so what's going to be real interesting to me is to see not only how Coach Dawkins starts out the season. Does he put Chad Brown in that powered forward spot, or does he keep him coming off the bench and providing that energy? And how much he's a bit of a mystery right now just because he was a transfer last year, but there's a guy by the name of Colin Smith, who's a 6'11" guy. He transferred out of George Washington, but he played at Bowles High School, which I believe is in the Jacksonville area. And I was able to see some highlights of him coming out. And he's the type of guy, even with that size and length at 6'11", about 240, he's the type of guy that can put the ball on the floor. He can shoot from the outside. He's kind of smooth with the ball on the inside. And then, of course, with that length, he can provide some defense. So he kind of reminds me, I don't want to, I don't want to pump him up too much because it kind of remains to be seen, but he shows flashes of some of that versatility from the power forward spot that AJ Davis gave us last year. And so I'd like to see what he does and how he develops.
This is a team that has, in Johnny Dawkins' tenure, prided itself on defense driving the offense, but just wasn't a lot of offense last year. So it's interesting to me what role Aubrey Dawkins will play. You know the pedigree. His dad's the head coach. He's got a great deal of talent. What are you expecting from Aubrey?
I think everyone is expecting big things out of Aubrey, and having not spoke with him before, I just hearing the interview that you guys recently did with him, and some other things about him, and actually talking with Coach Dawkins at an event this past off season. I know that he's chomping at the bit. I know that he's ready to go. He seems like the type of player that can easily step in and be a leader on this team, for a vocal leader and just his experience-wise. But talent-wise and individual talent, he seems like he's a slasher. He can get to the rim with athleticism. Everybody was talking about his, that highlight reel like dunk in practice that he had in the off season. Everybody was excited about that. But so he can clearly get to the rim. But he's a great outside shooter as well. And so I think everybody is expecting big things out of him, myself included. As long as he can stay healthy, he's going to really provide that third piece in the starting lineup to be a potential big star on this team.
Moving into his senior year, B.J. Taylor, what does he have to do to cement his status as the best point guard in UCF history?
I think that he keeps playing the way that he's capable of. He'll absolutely, and that's a strong list. Andrew, you kind of caught me off guard there because there is some great point guards who have played in the past, but I certainly think that he's on a trajectory to be included in that list, if not at the top. He's the type of player that really seems to have a feel for this team when he's on the court. I got a chance to actually sit next to his dad when they played at Memphis 2 years ago, and it was great just talking with him and just seeing where that tenacity and where that drive that he has came from. Because certainly his dad is a fiery guy, and he does a great job. He did a great job raising a great kid. But one of the things that excites me about B.J. Taylor is he's got this great upper body strength. When he does drive the basket, especially off of a high pick and roll, and he does turn that corner and drive to the basket, he can take contact and he can finish through contact. And that's always been something that's really been impressive. Even when he was, a young freshman, it's always been very impressive to me about him is his upper body strength and his ability to finish through contact. And then, of course, he can shoot it as well. He's got a great presence on the floor, and so I think more so than anybody, we're expecting big things out of him, and I think he's going to deliver this year.
Well, let's talk about Taco Fall now. It wasn't too long ago, the 2016-17 season, then a sophomore, named the American Athletic Conference Defensive Player of the Year. Of course, shoulder injury and other problems just nagged at him last season, but he's still Taco Fall. How dominating can he be on the defensive side of the ball? His presence down low, it allows the entire team to play amazing team defense because the guards, because of his size and how he commands anything that happens at the rim and how he guards the rim. It allows the guards to press up on their man. It allows them to try to go for the ball or maybe reach for a steal that they normally wouldn't reach for if they didn't have that protection behind them. And he doesn't have to block every shot that comes into the rim. He changes everything in the game from the defensive end. A lot of the times these players are not going to want to come into inside the 3-point line because of his presence in there. And if they do want to challenge him, a lot of the times they're going to get reversed about 99 out of 100 times. And so his size and his defensive instincts are what allows us. He is the anchor of our defense and just kind of controls the whole floor on that end.
There's another newcomer that's coming to UCF that I don't know if a lot of people have heard of, Frank Burtz. He was a junior college player who's going to be a three-point specialist. Do you know anything about him?
I don't know a ton about Frank. I do know that he is he's got that ability to shoot the three, and I'm looking forward to seeing him play and how he fits into this offense. It looks like an exciting player, one that could be a contributor right away. But I haven't got a chance to see too much on him to know exactly how he's going to fit early on.
Well, I guess last season he was at East Los Angeles College, junior college. He shot 47.6% from beyond the arc, so that's pretty decent.
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty awesome.
We'll take somebody like that. We haven't had a 3-point shooter in the last season we didn't. The season before, I think we did.
Yeah, season before having Matt Williams. I mean, when you lose a guy like that is just an absolute assassin from the outside. He's kind of hard to replace. I think Cesar DeJesus did a pretty good job of coming in and trying to fulfill that role in his first year with this team. But you're absolutely right. I mean, we could use some more shooters on the outside, and if Frank is one of those guys to light it up from the outside when everybody kind of collapses on Taco or a drive and kick situation, it'd be fantastic because that's something we could really use on the team.
If there's any good in the injury situation from last year, it meant that guys who you weren't expecting to get minutes got plenty of minutes. Talk about how valuable that is now for a Dayon Griffin, a Terrell Allen. You mentioned him earlier, Cesar DeJesus. What does it mean to have some experience for those guys and being able to come off the bench and be key cogs in this lineup?
Yeah, when I did get a chance to speak with Coach Dawkins this past summer, it was one of the things that I talked to him about, of course, is the injuries. And he could not have more great things to say about the way Terrell Allen especially stepped into that role. I mean, you're replacing I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, he wasn't the AAC player, preseason player of the year last year, but I believe BJ Taylor was first team all AAC last year in the preseason. So you're replacing a guy like that as a true as your first year player coming to the school, it's extremely impressive the way he handled himself and the way he handled the offense. And you could see from the beginning, it was a little bit slow going at first. He was kind of finding his way, but you get a few games into it, he really understood how the offense was run, and I think he stepped in and did a great job. And then, other guys like I mentioned, DeJesus and Dayon Griffin coming in and shooting those threes. He's another good shooter as well. So those guys stepped up. It was kind of a next man up mentality, and they didn't let it falter. I mean, a season ago, winning the amount of games that they did without the star players in was an impressive feat.
All right, I've got the easy part of this question. I've got in the starting lineup, I've got BJ, I've got Taco, I've got Aubrey. Okay, you're on the spot. You name the rest.
Yeah, so I hinted at it earlier. It's going to be interesting to see, especially replacing a guy like A.J. Davis. I have a feeling that, and this is a tough question, so of course you gave me the tough ones there. I think he's going to go with DeJesus early on. If I'm not mistaken, he started about 32 games last year. That was a record, I believe, for a first-year player at UCF, starting that amount of games. And so I think he's a guy that, in DeJesus, that Dawkins trusts in that shooting guard spot, at least a first game of the season. And then, I said it earlier, it is going to be really interesting to see what he does in that power forward spot. But I just have a feeling that I'd like to go a little bit out there and say that he'll start Colin Smith for game one, but I think he might go with the experience of Chad Brown and seeing how him and Taco play together in the same lineup.
When we look back on the stats this season, who's going to be the leading scorer?
Oh, I think it's BJ, hands down. I think BJ will be the leading scorer, but Aubrey could challenge for that spot. And don't sleep on my boy Taco either. The beginning of his sophomore season, the first half at least, we were running the offense through Taco a little bit, and he wasn't necessarily scoring every time. He has the ability to kick it out or pass it if he needs to. But when he is screening in the high post and diving down and getting good position, he's unstoppable. If he gets good position in the post, he basically obviously has nobody has a chance against him in the country. And he's got a little bit of a touch around the rim too. So I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not willing to maybe go out on a limb and say at the end of the season he's going to be our team leading scorer. But if he can, there you go again with the caveat. But if he can stay healthy, we can have the opportunity of running this offense through him because there is no other player in the country like him.
Have you met Taco before?
I have not. I have a 5-year-old son and 2 daughters, and my son especially. So we are looking forward to meeting him for the first time, and I know my son will be going nuts because he's his. Even when we're watching the Magic games or any basketball on TV, even if it's not UCF all last year, he's like, "Is Taco playing? Is Taco playing?" He's his favorite player, so. I'm looking forward to hopefully meeting him.
How many times in your life have you had to look up during a conversation?
I can honestly say that it has happened maybe twice in my life. And I actually can't even think of the second time. I played with a guy named Nick Rollins in high school, and whose dad was a former Magic player named Tree Rollins. And if you remember Tree Rollins, he was 7'4", and a great guy, by the way, too. And so he's one of the first people or only people in my life that I can remember ever looking up to. I've looked at a few people eye to eye, but looking up hasn't really happened too often.
So the final analysis here, what is it going to take for UCF to make this a successful season and to get to the tournament like they want to?
The only thing that in my mind is for them to stay healthy, but to go beyond that, Taco needs to be the player that he was his sophomore season when he was healthy, and then the player that he absolutely can be. And with him being the anchor of that defense and BJ running things from the point, I think that the only formula is for them to stay healthy, and they're absolutely going to be a conference championship team is the potential they absolutely have. And I think that they'll be successful enough to, if that were to not come to fruition for any reason, I think they'll be successful enough to get that at large bid, which we've never gotten before. That was a pipe dream back when I played, to even think about an at large bid, especially in the preseason. So I think that if they're healthy towards the end of the year and they can get that at large bid, they've got, or hopefully the automatic bid of the conference championship, I think the sky's the limit. They can contend with anybody in the country.
Thank you very much for joining us. Really appreciate it, and we look forward to talking to you again. How can people follow you on social media?
Yes, you can follow me on Twitter with the handle BigSocial32. That was a nickname that I actually got from my assistant coaches at UCF. And so Big Social 32 is how you can follow me on Twitter. And then, of course, just under my name on feel free to friend request me on Facebook if you'd like, just under Ben Stout. But Twitter is the best way at Big Social 32.
All righty. Well, thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
I appreciate you guys having me, and hopefully we'll talk to you soon, and go Knights.
Glad to have Ben on board. He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, I think it's going to be cool to have him.
He's a bit of a craft beer aficionado. So what do you think about Beers with Ben?
That could
as
be
a working title?
It could be. We'd have to have a beer every time.
Okay.
All right, well,
that works for
me. That could be it.
All right, but a big welcome to Ben.
Absolutely. We're really looking forward to having him.
Hey, Night Nation. It's Adam from the Sons of UCF. Be sure to check out our show every Wednesday only on the Knightline Sports Network. Now, back to two guys who probably won't be Cow of the Week nominees, Andrew and Trace.
Healthy and on preseason watch list, he's taller than a chimney. We're talking with Taco Fall in just a moment.
You know, ever since I started Knightline, people have been asking me for advice. Usually, it's what team to bet on this week. The truth is, I don't know who's going to win, but if you think that you know, you gotta check out MyBookie. Remember, who you're betting on is just as important as who you're betting with. That's why I always tell people to bet with MyBookie. Trust me, guys, they're the best bet this season. They've been in business for years, they have great reviews online, and their mobile site is easy to use. Lay down some cash and win big today. They have in-game live betting, the most rewarding player perks in the business, and for you fantasy guys out there, you can even bet over-under on how many fantasy points a player is going to score each game. Join now and MyBookie will match your deposit dollar for dollar. Use promo code NIGHT to activate the offer. You play, you win, you get paid. Visit MyBookie online today. You've heard us talk about the great food at our good friend Kyle Israel's restaurant, the Little Greek Fresh Grill. The Little Greek now has franchises available. Please call 407-697-2272. That's 407-697-2272 to see what the Little Greek can do for you. Also, check out the Little Greek's newest location at 6536 Old Brick Road in Windermere, Florida. The Little Greek Fresh Grill. Fresh, flavorful, fabulous. Last season, UCF posted a 9-9 record in the American, 19-13 overall, and they managed all of this without 7'6" center Taco Fall, who had a season-ending shoulder injury just as the Knights conference slate started heating up. Here's Trace with Taco at Media Day.
How good can this team be?
Thank you.
Really good. Really good. I feel like this team can be really good. Just like I said, by all the players we have and how all the pieces can fit right together. But like I said, we got to keep working and take it day by day.
You know what it's like to work through injuries.
Yes.
You can identify with what Aubrey's been going through, but this is 2 years he's had to sit out. Just talk about the mental game in dealing with something where you're off the court?
Aubrey, for instance, I feel like Aubrey is a very strong individual, and he has had coach guide him through it, and especially the last year where he hurt his shoulder, him and I had the same surgery, pretty much we had the same injury, so him and I was able to support each other. We went to rehab together, and that helps us a lot.
What's harder, the physical or the mental?
The mental part, probably. I feel like the mental part, because you have to go to the pain of rehab, and you're like, oh man, I still have this much to do, and then you watch your brothers play, and then you can play, and it's very hard. But like I said, as long as you have people around you to support you, it makes it a lot easier.
Can you believe you are at this point in your career with UCF?
I can't. It went by really, really fast, very, very fast. I couldn't. Before I got here, people were telling me how fast college goes by, but I didn't believe it. But it really did go by fast.
What does success look like for you this season?
Just take us to the promised land, take us to the NCAA tournament, and make a run, go as far as we can. That would make me very, that's something that I've wanted to do since I came here. And obviously I'm an Orlando guy, and I want to bring that joy to the city.
Nobody wants to see injuries, but the benefit of them is that it gives a lot of guys playing time. Yeah. Talk about the depth and how that has improved.
Yes, it gave the guys a lot of experience, like you say, especially the young guys that was like last year was their first year playing, and it shows they're a lot more mature, and us coming back with them being more mature is just going to take us to another level.
You've played against these American schools, top to bottom. These are pretty good basketball teams, aren't they?
Oh yes, they are. They are. Especially, I feel like some of them are actually maybe a little underrated, just because they had coaching changes, or they have a lot of guys left. But this American conference is going to be really good.
Coach Dawkins is known for his defense, but with you out there, BJ, Aubrey, everybody healthy, what can this team do offensively?
A lot. Like I said, we have all the pieces that we need that can fit together. Guys I don't feel like guys can just sit with us in the paint now and let us shoot. It's not going to happen.
Taco has been named to the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar watch list for the second straight year. It recognizes the nation's best center.
Let's hope he has a good chance at that one, huh? All right, who led the Knights in blocks last season? It was not Taco Fall. The interview, next.
This segment is brought to you by Scouted, the app where athletes of all ages get exposed, discovered, and recruited. Download for free on the Apple Store or Google Play and get discovered today. With Taco Fall out, Chad Brown stepped up. The now senior forward led the Knights with 34 block shots, and he's being counted on again this season. Here's Trace at Media Day with Chad Brown.
If there's a positive out of injuries, it gives a lot of guys minutes. Talk more about the depth of this team.
The depth of this team now, man, is huge. I feel like guys have gotten better last year, due to the injuries. I feel like guys have stepped up in their roles. Again, I'm talking about like Terrell Allen, guys like Terrell Allen, Cesar DeJesus, Chance McSpadden, Deion Griffin, those guys, stepped up in their roles and gotten better last year. And if you look at the offseason, man, they've gotten so much better, offensively and defensively, those guys. And the game started to slow down for them as well. So it kind of helps us, as a team because, we bring those guys back. Now we have BJ, Aubrey, and Taco as well. I feel like it kind of helps us, and it shows that we have a lot of potential that we can achieve this year.
What will success look like for you this season?
Success, man, honestly, I think the success for us this year is just getting closer and getting better every day, man. I really believe that. I feel like the results are really just going to take care of itself if we just continue to get better and get closer every day because, we have so much talent. I feel like we can compete with anybody in the country, to be honest with you, but the only way we could do that is if we can continue to get better and get closer. And the biggest thing, I think the better teams in this country are the teams that are close. If we stay close and as we continue to develop and keep getting better, then I believe that the sky is the limit for us.
Projected first in the American, but on any given night in the American, any of these teams can win. It's a competitive league, top to bottom.
It is, yeah. No, definitely. I mean, you look at the teams in the conference, and they're just phenomenal teams. You look at Houston, you look at Cincinnati. You look at Wichita State, who just came last year. You look at Memphis, who's been a great, tradition in the conference and in NCAA. And you look at those teams, man, and they're just great teams. And they're all NCAA caliber teams. The teams I've mentioned. They have great history of NCAA. And, you respect those teams, and you get excited to play those type of teams, as a competitor. And to be number one, it's an honor. It's an honor that the coaches, respect us for us being number one. That shows the kind of respect that UCF is starting to, build, and the foundation that we're starting to, leave here at UCF. But, I feel like the biggest thing, man, is that, potential is great, but if you don't put it to use, man, then potential is nothing. You just have to continue to get better every day and get closer. And, those teams in the conference, they're going to give you your best shot. Being number one, they're going to always give you your best shot. So, giving them your best shot, that you want to make sure that you're prepared for those situations.
How much fun are you ready to have?
Oh, I'm ready to have a lot of fun, man. I'm ready to, I feel like me personally, I've gotten so much better. The game has truly slowed down for me. Kind of helped me in my maturity. As me growing up, I learned a lot of things, man, and the game has kind of slowed down for me, man, and I'm just ready to have a lot of fun, man. It's going to be a great year.
All told, the Knights return 8 of their top 10 scorers from last season.
All right, now looking ahead, UCF welcomes Flagler, just an exhibition, Monday, October 29, 7 o'clock at the arena. Then things get real, okay? The regular season opens Tuesday, November 6th. 6:30 start. Ryder is the opponent. The non-conference slate, though, includes some pretty competitive games. Alabama, hey, how about Alabama? They agree to play basketball.
Yeah, I wish they'd play football.
Missouri, Illinois State, you remember them from the NIT run a couple of seasons ago for the Knights. And UCF also plays in the Myrtle Beach Invitational. So they're going to be challenged in the non-conference portion, and then they open up league play against Temple. Other than the Cows, I think the Cows are projected for last. I mean, this is a competitive league. We've rattled off some of the teams. Penny Hardaway's in Memphis.
That
Cincinnati's
could be
good.
With him running the show there, being a college coach.
He's made a big splash
in recruiting.
I
mean, absolutely. Who wouldn't want to go play for Penny Hardaway? I mean,
driving to the Liberty Bowl for the football game, passed a sign of a school, and it had his image outside the school. And
I'm sure.
I guess that was the school he went to.
Yeah.
So he's a big presence there. But we'll see if he makes them competitive. This is UCF's league to lose, really, when they've got these big stars all together playing. But
this is their chance, I think. This may be the last chance for a while. No, it could be, because B.J. Taylor's gone after this. Taco Fall's gone. Chad Brown.
Yeah.
Recruiting. Has recruiting been top-notch yet?
Recruiting is moving along.
It's getting there, but something needs to really happen.
Well, and, we talked about this a little bit with Ben earlier. This has not been a basketball culture. 50 seasons.
I know.
Right?
I know.
But the sustained winning at this level, there were ups and downs.
He's got to recruit a new B.J. Taylor and a new Taco Fall and all the other players, too. So
let's enjoy the ride.
No, I agree completely. I'm just being real like I normally am.
I think Talking Hoops was a pretty good way to spend a bye week, though, and pretty soon we'll be back getting ready for the space game. What do you think of those space uniforms?
They're beautiful.
Huh?
With the Citronaut on there, absolutely beautiful. I'm looking forward to talking football again. Not that I don't like basketball, it's just not my thing nearly as much. So,
but it was a good window to talk about.
Yeah. I'm sure there's probably going to be some disappointed Knightline listeners that there was no football talk until now. But
it's fine. We'll be back on. We've got Sons of UCF this week. We've got a preview of the Temple game on Thursday night.
We're getting there.
Come on, everybody! Just we need a little bit of a
Saturday
break.
Was really hard for me with no use. I felt like I didn't know what to do. So
yeah, that's all right. That's all right. Bye week, but you know what? Who'd have thought 7-0 on the bye week?
And sooner or later, it's all going to be over, and then we're going to move on to this basketball. So hopefully,
what's your projection, by the way? The college football playoff rankings come out beginning of the week. Where do you think UCF checks in?
I'm hoping that they're somewhere around 14 to 15.
Really?
I'll be happy with 14 to 15. I think so.
Whoa, I didn't think you would go that low.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what do you want? Fourth? I'd love them to be fourth.
I know they're not going to be fourth.
No,
but...
15 to 16, somewhere in there.
Wow.
What are you thinking?
I'm going to go with 12.
Okay.
I'm going to go with 12. Well, all of this, though, while we do spend a little bit of time talking football, has just continued to promote the UCF brand. I mean, people are one side or the other. They either like us as a little engine that could, and I like that you're hearing a little bit more, at least, from other programs that say, we've got to stand with UCF because that one day could be us. If you remember, I had a business trip out to San Diego few months back, and a gentleman at the hotel said to me, I root for you guys because he roots for San Diego State. And He says, if you can't make it, how could San Diego State ever be a party crasher? And, and that's how the rest of these schools should look at it. And when you think about some of the other schools that have no chance whatsoever, and those are in the so-called Power Five, they're not getting a fair shake either.
The cartel has really messed this thing up, I'm telling you.
And this was supposed to be the more fair system.
Yeah.
Boy, we're starting to rant on this, aren't we? So you're going at 14, 15.
14 or 15, I'll be happy.
Wow. I didn't think you'd go in that low.
I'm
surprised.
I'm being real because I think that they're going to screw us. So I'm just being real there. I'll be happy if we're there. I wouldn't be shocked if we're lower than that.
Mm-hmm.
So.
All right. Well, we will see. Those playoff rankings come out beginning of the week. Basketball starts. Football back soon. Fall.
I can't wait.
Great time for
Can't
UCF.
wait for football to get going again, and let's just go Knights and charge on and get it done and make as much of a splash as we can, I guess, if they're not going to let us into the whole dance.
Enjoy every moment of it.
Just make it the biggest splash we can.
That's right.
All righty. This has been Knightline 168. I'm Andrew Phegley.
I'm Trace Trylko. Go Knights!
Charge on.
To the field with our spirits, we'll never yield. Black